Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is beyond important, and this is beyond any kind of priority that you can think of right now, because this guy here, Wayne Glew, on the 15th of January, filed writs of mandamus on the parliamentarians, and it's been ignored. Essentially, if you go to Facebook, you go to Wayne Glew 12, and you uh, become his friend, or if you have a look on his page, I'm pretty sure these are set to public. You can see that he filed these documents, which are constitutional powers granted to the people, and they've been ignored. They've been entirely ignored. And as I was saying in previous videos and in previous groups and Facebook posts and whatever else, it's because the Constitution has always been invalid. It was never signed by Queen Victoria. It's a forgery. And people think, oh, okay, the Constitution wasn't signed, but we still have a government. Well, no. No, we do not. We do not have a valid government. We have imposters. We have people who have usurped the legitimate government. And Go Whitlam in the 70s knew this. That's how he got away with making the changes he did, because he knew this was true. And it's very simple to prove. A 5-year-old could prove this. Now that the documents are finally online, now that foundingdocs.gov.au is finally online and showing scans of the original documents, even a 5-year-old can prove this, because that signature right there is supposed to be Queen Victoria's. That looks like a B, that looks like a Y. It's a question of what exactly is that supposed to be, because Queen Victoria's legitimate signature is right here. That does not look like a B and a Y. That looks like two L's, or in her handwriting it actually stands for RI, Regina Imperatrix, Queen Empress. That signature looks nothing like that at the end. That looks more like her 1940s signature, from before she became Empress of India. It's not valid. It's not the right signature. In all likelihood, it's a forgery. And this seal right here is proof that it's a forgery, because there's only one person in this seal. And there's indents in the bevel. And there's no words in the bevel going around the outside. If you have a look at her real seal, you'll see quite clearly there's supposed to be a stable boy, there's not supposed to be any indents in the bevel, and there's supposed to be words in the bevel. Those are just some very basic standout differences. But quite literally a 5-year-old could spot these differences. I don't even know how people have looked at these documents before and not realized. Oh wait, they did. Go Whitlam was one of them. That's my point. They have known about this for a good 45 years, sorry, and they never told us. You can go to foundingdocs.gov.au and check it for yourself. In fact, I encourage you to. I want you to go there. I want you to double check it, because the truth is they deliberately fabricated these documents entirely to try and trick us into thinking we had a valid government over us. Civil war was coming, we're talking about the late 18th century. Civil war was coming. The colonies couldn't agree on the details of the Constitution. There's a whole bunch of things that were happening in the political landscape. And they probably just went, you know what, bugger it, we'll just fake it. We'll just fake the assent, and we'll fake the letters patent constituting the office of Governor General, because we don't have a choice to do anything else. And they might have had honorable intentions at the time, but it's been used against us heavily. We've had all these laws brought in to restrict the way that we drive and travel and how we use public transportation that our parents paid for and our grandparents paid to be made, and we have to still pay for it. I don't know about you, but it doesn't cost $10 worth of electricity to get a train to go from Blacktown to Parramatta, sorry. It doesn't cost $10 in electricity to go and maintenance to go from Blacktown to Parramatta. Yet that's exactly what they're charging you because they've been privatized. They're a for-profit business now. And they never had the authority to sell that. That belonged to the people. But that's what I'm talking about. This is the scam. This is what's been happening since Go Whitlam, and this is what has been happening since the 70s. And now it's getting to the point where they're targeting the poor and the pensioners. Pensioners have to pay a $20 fee to go to the bloody doctor now. And a lot of them are getting kicked off. And these people are genuinely sick. They're not people with psychosomatic issues. You know, we're talking about cancer sufferers and people like that. Oh, and let's not forget, on the topic of cancer, marijuana oil cures it. Always has done. It was the official cure right up until the 1940s when they banned it because marijuana and hemp would have threatened the leading industries, the steel mills and the oil refineries and all that sort of thing. That's why it was banned. It wasn't anything to do with the THC content, it was to do with the fact that it threatened the economy. Because hemp, its sister plant, looks identical. So they banned them both. They banned hemp and cannabis. I'm not suggesting anyone goes out and suddenly starts smoking cannabis, by the way, because that's really bad for you. Cannabis has a hell of a lot of tar in it. To use medical cannabis, you make it into an oil, and then the cannabinoids from it help supplement the ones that your brain normally produces naturally, and that's what kills cancer. Look at this. Queen Victoria's instructions to the Governor-General. Unfound document. Wanted. The search for Australia's founding documents continues as 8 of the key legal instruments identified for inclusion in this website have not yet been located. This is one of the unfound documents for which we are still searching. Still searching. You see that? They're admitting they have never had it. It's time Australia started waking up. It's time you started waking up. It's time your children and your parents and your wives and your husbands all started watching this and getting a grasp on what is happening. Because there is a revolution planned for next month. And it's going to be peaceful at the start, but that won't last very long. We might get a couple of days or a couple of weeks of peaceful revolution and protesting before people go, you know what, stuff it. These assholes obviously don't care about the people and they're not giving in to our demands, so our whole country could be plunged into turmoil if you don't start waking up and if you don't start spreading this message, because this is, nobody can refute this. This is so simple a 5-year-old could honestly tell the difference. And it's gotten to a stage where our whole country is at risk if we don't do something about it. I mean, could you face your father or your grandfather who died in various wars? Or the veterans who came out of Timor and came out of other areas? Even the ones now who are fighting ISIS. How are you going to face them when our whole country turns to shit because nobody spoke up about this and nobody shared it? Come on, Australia, it's time we got off our ass and actually did something to save our own country for once. It starts here. It starts with knowledge. get it out there and make sure people know about it. We need at least 10% of the population to know about this. So far, we don't even have 1%. We need to get cracking.